gets shot. I think twice or thrice or 4 times in the chest. Money splits, flies everywhere. The second guy comes out, he gets shot in the leg.
This is South Africa, land of the free. This isn't Hollywood, this is Mzansi. Armed men, military tactics, and millions in cash, gone in 90 seconds. But what's really going on behind these heists? These aren't just robberies, they're full-blown tactical operations. In most instances, the streets are blocked off. Sometimes the cops look the other way. And the people who know the routes, the codes, the drop-off times have inside information. From the townships to the highways, this is the real war for money. These are the symptoms of a broken system. Today, we take you into the front line, to the cash in transit drivers who risk their lives to put food on the table for their kids and families, to the streets where it all goes down, the men who once pulled it off and lived to talk about it. Because let's be honest, if you're carrying millions in this country, you're not safe, and you never were. A CIT heist, also known as a cash in transit heist, is a robbery targeting vehicles involved in transporting or handling large sums of cash and valuables between high-risk points. Usually, the money is either being transported from businesses such as retail stores, banks and ATMs to casinos and betting houses, including government institutions. The cash then gets transported to central banking facilities, cash vaults and ATMs. This type of robbery is often committed by organized crime groups seeking substantial gains. South Africa is currently dealing with a heist epidemic. On average, 2 to 3 CIT heists happen every week, sometimes even more during peak months. Over 180 CIT heists were reported in 2023 alone, according to South African Police Service. That means armed gangs are attacking armed vans at least 8 to 12 times in a month. That's more than one every 48 hours, often in broad daylight, on busy roads using military-grade tactics and explosives. Gauteng alone sees the highest number of hits. The province is basically the heart of the heist economy, and it's not random. These crews study routes, bribe insiders, and wait for the perfect moment. By the time the van gets hit, the attackers already know everything, from the money inside, the number of guards, and if it's orchestrated by a high-level criminal gang, even the police response time. This isn't opportunistic crime. This is organized, calculated, and ruthless. For the men working inside the vans, it's not just a job, it's a death sentence waiting to be signed. Looking at stats from May 2025, there has been a significant number of cash in transit heists, in certain provinces being more affected than others. Since the beginning of 2025, there has been around 76 recorded CIT heists nationwide. Out of all the provinces, KwaZulu-Natal has emerged as the leading province with 34% and Gauteng following closely, recording 24% on instances in the same period. These statistics highlight the persistent threat of CIT heists in South Africa. But that's the thing, when people don't eat, they'll do anything to survive, and that's how the heist game stays alive. I mean, South Africa has one of the highest unemployment rates in the world, hovering around 32%, with unemployment standing at 62.4% amongst the youth between the ages of 15 and 24 years. In townships and rural areas, many young men, usually in their 20s, with no income, see heist jobs as the quickest way to make real money. Some of these crew members are ex-soldiers. Most of them are just hungry and know how to use a gun. And the most attractive thing about the CIT heists are the payouts. From one successful hit, the payout can range from 100,000 Rand to 500,000 per crew member. That's between 5,000 USD to 25,000 USD. More than most will ever see in 5 years of honest work. The problem with this game is one score becomes a habit, because in this game, greed eats the exit plan. We watch the videos, explosions, gunfire, scorched roads. These aren't movie scenes. There's no stunt double, no reset button. We see headlines so often we have become desensitized from the horrors behind that bulletproof glass. The one gripping the steering wheel, heart racing, eyes scanning every mirror, because in this line of work, one mistake doesn't just cost money, it costs your life. And all that chaos, all that risk, just to make sure there's bread on the table. These aren't heroes or villains, just people trying to survive. Well, this is what it's like behind the wheel when your shift could be your last.
Busy dying, I'm busy dying. Jesus Christus, vergeef my. Geef my sonde asseblief. Geef my foute. Geef my oortredinge. Geef my tekortkominge. Geef my Here. Geef my Here.
Here's a scenario. Location, Pretoria, South Africa on the N4 highway. A bulletproof Toyota Land Cruiser escort vehicle is being driven by Leo Prinsloo and his partner, Lloyd Mtombeni, who is seated next to him. Leo, being a former SAPS task force member experienced in tactical driving and firearms, is now working for a private security firm as a CIT escort driver. They had no idea they were seconds away from becoming the next headline. All of a sudden, automatic gunfire erupted. Armed robbers in multiple vehicles began to box them in on the freeway. You could hear bullets slam into the windshield and the side windows. Instead of panicking or pulling over, Leo went full tactical, kept a close eye on his mirrors, anticipated every move of the pursuing cars. He then accelerated and rammed one of the attacker's vehicles, trying to evade more gunshots. Amid ongoing fire, he told his partner to stay down, draw his firearm, and prepare for a gunfight if needed. Eventually, the attackers gave up and fled after failing to stop the vehicle. This whole scene gave us an insight on exactly how CIT drivers are hunted and how rare it is to walk away alive when ambushed like that. In many instances, drivers freeze, stop the car, and succumb to the robbery. When they interviewed Prinsloo, all he had to say was, "I was doing my job. We are trained for this." Stories like this don't always make it to the headlines, so if you think it matters, consider subscribing and let us know what voices or stories deserve to be heard next. Now, let's focus on the perpetrators, the heist makers. Every heist starts with a plan. In many instances, the plan is not very detailed and concise. Only the important information is disclosed. It's nothing like the movies. Crews often will start by recruiting insiders. These are one of the most important aspects of this mission. This person will give them a layout of the building or what time the CIT truck gets to the said location, an estimate of how much money they'll be carrying, how many gunmen they have, and if they have any armed escort. These informants vary. It can either be someone working inside a cash depot, a bank, or even the driver's cousin. Spotters are placed at strategic locations to monitor movements of the police and security companies. Most of these heists are done in a relatively small town, so the spotters would know which cop is going to be patrolling that day. The routes of the CIT truck are usually leaked by low-paid staff, spotters who are just placed in surrounding areas, or most commonly a corrupt officer inside the local police station. Before the heist is even orchestrated, they know the exact location where the van would stop, how long they'd be inside, and what kind of response time the SAPS has in that area. Let's not be fooled. They don't roll with pistols. This is not a petty crime. For this type of job, you need to come strapped, or you might as well just stay at home. They use military-grade weapons such as AK-47s, R5 military rifles, G3s, and even LM6s. They don't come to play. Let's not forget the explosives. In most cases, they would use commercial-grade detonators or Explogel, found commonly in mining. These explosives are actually quite cheap. They can go anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 Rand, around 80 to 100 USD. What they do is block the road with the stolen truck, ram the van from the side, and if it didn't crack the safe, they would now use explosives. And police corruption is rampant. They would help them more than they would stop them. They would receive police reports about when the patrol would be low and when they would be more distracted. In some instances, the criminals will be given unregistered SAPS radios and intercept the police response time. The tip-off would let them know they had 5 to 7 minutes max. And the crazy thing is, that's all they need. If the job goes clean, they walk away with 200,000 to 500,000 rand, sometimes more. But remember, those that don't work don't get paid. So what happens after the big score? They flex, designer clothes, popping bottles, cars they don't register, and clubs they don't belong in. It's the Instagram lifestyle, just without the longevity, because the truth is, the money runs out fast. And when the high fades and the bills pile up, there's only one way to keep the dream alive. They go hunting for the next heist. One job turns into 3, then 5, then you bury someone, then you're in too deep to walk away. Many of them leave after losing a close friend in a botched job. Others are killed before they get out. Soon they realize this was real, and in the end, you either cash out or you get carried out. Few of them outsmart the system and launder the money into businesses to create more longevity for their stolen money. They launder their money through nightclubs, taxis, foreign exchange funds, or even funeral businesses. The most common way this is done is through nightclubs. How this works is, once they come back from the heist, they have large sums of untraceable money. Banking it is way too risky. So they set up a front company such as cleaning services or maintenance. The nightclub, which is usually in on it as well, would then hire the said company to clean their facilities. On paper, this is a legitimate contract paying monthly for cleaning services. Meanwhile, the dirty money is being moved literally through the back door, then funneled into legitimate transactions. You ever see those videos? 12 bottles of expensive champagne and tequila carried through the club by bottle girls with sparkles and security costing hundreds of thousands. And you ask yourself, who in their right mind would spend 500,000 on alcohol in one night? Truth is, they don't. In all those 12 bottles on the table, they will only drink 2, but the club will account for all 12 bottles as paid for. And now the money is clean, accounted for in alcohol sales. Later, the fake cleaning company is paid out as a legitimate business expense. That's not balling, you just witnessed a laundry machine at work. Another thing is these cash trucks don't just get hit in the middle of nowhere. They get hit right here where people walk to work, catch taxis, and live their lives. Busy intersections, traffic lights, even school zones, and sometimes they strike on these long empty roads. No cameras, no witnesses, no help coming. On the topic of cameras, we cannot look past the fact that these security companies move millions, but they use outdated gear, sloppy systems, and insiders who work with these companies watching from the inside, leaking information. It's almost too easy. Most CIT vans in South Africa still rely on old school alarm systems, basic GPS trackers, and limited real-time monitoring. They have no auto lockdown or internal blast protection system, no drone support. The bare minimum is for these security companies to start implementing AI surveillance. I mean, it's 2025 out here, but inside some of these trucks, it's still 2003. Another thing to point out is how weak their operation protocol is. Drivers are overworked, underpaid, and often forced to stick to the same predictable schedule, same routes, same stops, same timings. They have no route randomization or advanced tactical support. The only time you see any of these CIT trucks being followed by one of their own helicopters is when they are transporting large sums of money. But these criminals have caught on. They don't need to do a 60 million rand job with high security. They target the small operations with minimal security because 4 million is more than enough for them and it's less risky. These criminals don't need to guess. They just observe, plan, and hit. Possibly the biggest flaw in all of them are the insider leaks. Someone on the inside, a dispatcher, a cleaner, even other drivers. A simple WhatsApp message, van leaving depot right now, headed to Mall A, then Mall B, 2 guards, no escort. That's all it takes. The heist is already in motion and the van hasn't even hit the road yet. But what if I tell you some of these hits are meant to happen? I mean, most of the times, the people guarding the money don't even try to protect it. And what if that's exactly what the company wants? Because hear me out. When the cash van goes down, the security company gets to claim insurance. The bigger the headline, the better. The banks, they report inflated losses. In the end, the money moves and no one takes the fall. But you know what? We'll save that mess for another video. It often starts small. A group of criminals hijacking a cash-in-transit van for a quick score. They target soft routes, relying on speed, firepower, and insider information. But once they taste real money and realize how weak the system is, the game changes. From the year of 2020 to 2025, only 202 suspects of CIT heists have been arrested. But the amount of heists that have taken place in those respective years are approximately 1,100. This highlights how few arrests have been made for this crime, prompting gangsters to see this line of crime as more attractive and lucrative than others. These gangs don't stay small forever. With every successful heist, they build networks, more corrupt insiders, recruiting ex-military or ex-police for tactical planning, and laundering cash through front businesses. From CIT vans, they move up to hitting armored trucks carrying large bank deposits. But the story doesn't end there. With more money comes more power and influence. Some gang leaders even begin to finance political campaigns or bribe local officials for protection. In most cases, gang leaders secure government contracts, infiltrate unions, or sponsor protests to control territories. What begins as street crime slowly mutates into organized crime with political reach, where the lines between criminal and legitimate influence start to blur. This is no longer just about stealing cash. It's about control of routes, control of information, and eventually the control of power structures that were meant to stop them. This is The Need to Know, giving you the truth unfiltered. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you.